We're going on with the youth. I often say to my students, you know, I think my generation has created a lot of problems, although, you know, we have the best life ever on this planet and healthier as ever. We've also created a lot of problems. And so you're young, and don't only solve our problems, but create your own world. And that's much more exciting than to solve somebody's problems. And then I see their eyes twinkle, and that's really what they want to do. It's like the flower power time of us. You know, my generation kind of screwed up, I think. But if you now see where they all ended up, then it's not what we wanted when we had, I don't know, flowers in our hair and sort of big... groupings together and free love, free care and everything. But, okay, now, youth. We're going to go back to youth. Don't get me carried away. Ralien Bekkers is 20 years old. So how much younger can you be to stand here on this red spot and do a TED talk? I think that's great. Who is this girl? Now, she's 20 years old, living in the city of Amsterdam, and for several years she's been active in the field of several years. So, when you're 20, right? Active in the field of environment, climate, and sustainable development. And so she started with the Young Friends of the Earth Netherlands, and then the Dutch National Youth Council, and she was in several working groups, one on the United Nations and on sustainability, and she became coordinator of the sustainability group. And then she started studying at the University of Amsterdam, future planet studies. And now, well, it's great because she's one of those girls that has an enormous, of course, achterban, what's that called? Lots and lots of people that she talks about that are all very young, and then she's going to express that wish of youth to government, to business, to industry on behalf of our generation's future. And I think that's great. She's also going to go to Rio +20, and there she will focus mainly on sustainable education for green jobs. I think that's one issue that we always forget. If we want to have that economy running for the jobs, then let it be green jobs. And what we see is that a lot of the green revolution and sustainability revolution actually gives jobs. So if we need jobs, they better be green. Now, anyway, she's going to talk for about 10 minutes or maybe a couple of minutes more. I don't know how you guys do that. Do you actually stop that thing from being... If I say 2 minutes more, then you make it red 2 minutes later, right? Something like that. Or otherwise they run off, and then I can say you have 2 minutes more, but they're so struck by this lightning there on the... Okay. Well, anyway, Ralien, come over here and take the floor and be the youngest speaker.
Rio -20. In 1972, there was the first conference, the UN Conference on the Human Environment, where countries gathered together for solving environmental issues. This was a marking point in the history and the start of international cooperation for sustainable development. There was, as a result, a declaration. There was a resolution. And there was even an action plan. 1972 in Stockholm. 1992 in Rio, the big UN conference on environment and development, where so many people gathered together, over 100 world leaders, for those problems that were huge. It was a great conference. It was a huge success. There were legally binding outcomes, which is quite exceptional, actually, for UN conferences. And also there was Agenda 21, which is an action program for the 21st century with very, very important topics that we need to tackle. Issues that we really need to tackle together those countries of the world. (1992), the year I was born. My mother, she was afraid and ashamed of bringing an innocent child in this world. And although I'm so happy to live and to be here, maybe she was right. Because from 1992 until now, the environment, the planet we live in, has never been destructed as much, has never been polluted as much. It is unbelievable. As we say in 1992, we're going to do this together. We have plans, we have legally binding outcomes of a conference that counts for every single country in the world. What happened? 36% increase in CO2 emissions, only caused by 19 countries. 80% of that only caused by 19 countries of this whole world. 12% decrease of biodiversity, something humans really rely on. And even 30% in some traffic areas. And an increase of 26% of our world population, which is unbelievably huge. And maybe we do not understand that, but it is unbelievably how many people has gone in this earth in such a short time span. And also 75% increase in GDP. We're richer than ever in money. However, the differences between incomes and between people are also bigger than ever. And what happened? 1992, now 2012. We keep on pointing fingers to each other. People don't do it. They just say, no, it's that person that has to do it. No, it's that country that has to do it. No, it's not. And that's where we're now stuck, in some kind of vicious circle. And it's really not good. But now, 2012, Rio plus 20. This will be a remarkable moment, I'm sure, in human history, where so many people will get together. 60,000 people will come to Rio in June 2012. 60,000 persons. And they are not only from the government, but from civil society. So many people, so many youngsters. People from businesses, people from civil society, and so many will come there because they feel this is the moment. Now, we are really going to change. Rio plus 20. It's about the green economy, and it's about eradicating poverty. Are we going to do this together? Are we going to reaffirm those promises we have already made in 1992 and really do it now? I guess so. Over 100 world leaders again will be there. And what is happening right now? I don't know if you know the conference, but it is everywhere. At this very moment, there is a simulation of Rio in the Netherlands. And that happens in many, many cities over all the world. Because it's really a topic right now. And it's unbelievable. I work in these specific areas, and I see that things are really increasing. And people are becoming more aware and more sure of this sustainable development, and that this is really the moment. And this will be very exciting. And also a bit, scary maybe. And a time ago I spoke with some international spiritual leaders, and they also say they are marking this moment, and this will be a turning point in human history. 2012. Not because we're all going to die, but because this is a moment for change, and the possibilities for change are here. But now it's the moment for doing it. And also businesses. You see many businesses that are now integrating sustainable development into their core strategies. And they find that it's actually beneficial for them. And that's what it is. Sustainable development is good for human beings. If we want to continue living on this planet, living on this wonderful earth where our economy relies on, then we should preserve it. And then sustainable developing in a sustainable way is the only way forward. Also, so many young people are already understanding it. Children, youngsters, they want this future, a good future for all of us. So therefore, this is a call upon all of you, upon every single person, because we can talk at the highest levels and at the largest scales, but in the end, where does it happen? It begins here. It's in our own hands. We have to make that change. It begins at our own house, at our own jobs, at our daily activities, in our own countries. We can say, no, that country has to do it, but no, we have to do it. And they as well, but we have to start. And later, when I get a job, I don't want a job at a company that messes with our earth. I just don't want that. I want a green job. I want a job that is good for both the environment as the company, and that is possible. And I don't want energy that comes from plants that produce, for example, nuclear waste that will cause problems for me and my other people at this world for ages. And I also don't want more CO2 in the atmosphere. I want to have clean energy, and it's all possible, so why? Do it. And I don't want to be at a bank that invests in destructive actions. I want a bank that does good stuff. And we can do that. It's not that much of a problem. So now, I would like to ask you to all hold the hands of the persons that are sitting next to you. You know what? The power is in these hands. We have our hands. We can make the changes ourselves. We can do it. We have hands to form the earth as we want it, as we want to see it. And we don't have to do it alone, because look at all of you. We're sitting here together. You have people left and right, everywhere. And together we have such a great power. And we can do that. So let's create the future that we want. Thank you.
Ralien. Just stay here. I just want to ask you, thanks very much, that was great. I just want to ask you a few questions. There is skepsis about the big conference, because of the results of previous ones. And I wish I could be and will be as optimistic as you. But what are your ideas that our Prime Minister is not going there?
That's the best question you can ask me. As she already told, I have a lot of activities going on, and I have a great working group. It's called Young and Sustainable. All young people who work for sustainable development. And they, for half a year, they want our Prime Minister, who is our Prime Minister now, Rutte, to go there. But he doesn't give any priority. He doesn't listen to us. He does nothing. And I think that's a really bad case, because we started this campaign because we think this will be such a huge moment, and every head of state or head of government has to be there. Also just to show the support and show the importance of developing in a sustainable way, because all the reforms of our economy has to be in some way the sustainable reforms. So I think it's very bad, and I think it's also very bad for him, because he will learn a lot from that. And I think, yeah, everyone is saying that. So
this morning I heard Robert Dijkgraaf on Radio 4, who was giving the same, message to Rutte.
Yeah, well, I talked to him on the phone last week, because it was really a strange thing, but because a friend of mine saw him sitting somewhere and said, "Oh, Rutte is here, do you want to talk to him?" I'm like, of course, what are you talking about? So we had me on the phone, and he walked to Rutte. Yeah, Ralien Bekkers is here for you, a UN representative on sustainable development, so I explained to him why it was so important. And now he probably wants to talk with us, with me and my colleague as a representative, but I don't really have to hope that he was talking blah 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 blah. And
he's got lots of time now, you would say,
I
right?
think he has a lot of time.
Right.
So I don't know, like vacation to Rio. So I don't know what's the problem for him. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I want to ask you is that you've heard from IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature.
Yes.
And in there we have started Young Leaders for Nature, but Leaders for Nature, which is really a connection that we make between scientists, but especially between industries, multinationals especially.
Yes.
So we start with CEOs, and we go to the young professionals. And Young Leaders for Nature there is let's say a yearly forum with 300-400 young people that are in these businesses that you say, I don't want to work for a business that is, not sustainable or doesn't, look out for the planet. Yeah. And so I got very, very excited being at these Young Leaders for Nature fora, because what you see there, it's like a marketplace. So you work with, IBM or ABN AMRO, all the ones that you may not want to work for, but a lot of them that really have a whole layer at the bottom, let's say, of young, very talented people that say, hey guys, hey CEOs, why is it not changing? You say that you have some responsibility for the planet and you talk about this, but then what's really happening in our business? So that gave me hope, because I see that also from within the industry, you can actually make the change. So what's your idea about the power that is within the companies? Do you reach these people?
Yes, because I found it really important to make the partnership, so between the government, the industry, but also the civil society and NGOs, that we work together and spread the ideas. Also, of course, the knowledge institutions, because there has to be the information from. So I'm really in favor of great partnerships to enrich each other. So I also see very much the power of young people talking with, for example, the business leaders, and I also do that to make them just realize what they're doing and what they're talking about, because it will all be about our future. I mean, we will be the future entrepreneurs and the future workers and also the future clients, and so it's very important, and it all influences us the most.
So that is really the social revolution that I see going on. The hierarchy within these industries is also changing. So what's your idea about the role of social media in this sense?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think
who's on Twitter now? Are you? I can't see much of it. Okay, you have to turn your phone off, which I forgot to say, but you know that, of course. But then that doesn't mean you can't Twitter, right? Okay. So keep on going and just say how great her talk was and everybody else's talk, of course.
I think it's a huge opportunity, because I think right now we are more connected than ever, and therefore also I want you to hold your hands, because we're not really connected in real life.
That's scary, isn't it? Isn't it?
I think some people find it
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They feel uncomfortable. I can see my husband sitting there, and he has an empty chair. I think that's strategically chosen.
Well, but I think that with social media, I mean, I can reach people all over the world, young people, and now we work with the International Major Group for Children and Youth for the UN conference, and it's like thousands of young people who are also doing activities like this, youth representatives from all over the world, and we are forming a bloc because we agree with each other, in comparison with the leaders that are now negotiating. So I think it's amazing, and therefore we have much more power as a social group or revolution, a social media revolution, to really make also differences.
And if you look at the population growth in Africa and in, not so much in China, but in Africa especially, there is so many young people.
Right now, 52% is below 30.
So get the youth in China going. That's more than you.
My colleague was at a conference, and there were the U.S. and China together for climate change. So that's and young people, right? Not the older, but I think so. Also, the contact with the Chinese youth, and that is very important, and that can make from below, bottom up, and then change there.
Okay, well, you do that, and I think you can do it much faster. You see in Arabia how fast things can go through internet, and I'm sure you'll have a fantastic career one way or another. Yeah. Don't be afraid of the businesses, but infiltrate the businesses and bring your good ideas within the businesses is even better. Okay, a good hand for Ralien.